Hello, everybody. Welcome to Okcoin Live. So today I'm here with my co-host Alex, and we are the listing team of Okcoin, and we're very, very excited today to have Matt and Valentine from Zilliqa with us together. So, before we get started, I want to take a second to just congratulate you guys for all of the amazing news that we're hearing from the ZIL ecosystem. And I want to ask you guys, like, what are you most excited about?
That's a good question. There's a significant amount going on, not just with Zilliqa as a blockchain, but as you said, in the wider ecosystem. I think as we probably go through the discussion today, you're probably going to ask questions around where's the blockchain going, what dApps are being built. So it's hard for me in my role to say exactly what I'm most excited about, but you've got Valentine on the call, and definitely for sure, he's a leading light in terms of what we're doing and what we're seeing on the Zilliqa blockchain. So I don't know, Valentine, what's your most exciting thing at the moment?
Well, everything I think is the most exciting. Yeah, well, I'm doing now just a play of words. The fact that we are doing gaming and on blockchain, and we are among I think the very first to start doing gaming on blockchain. And this play of words, not blockchain gaming, is very important because the way we are putting in all the strategies and how we go after delivering each of the products and services, it's as in any regular gaming company. Even the engineers that I have in the development teams are coming from AAA or AA studios, and the way we are approaching that is the same way we learn there. And I'm coming also from a lot of years of gaming, of development in gaming. Before that, a lot of software in the embedded and online solutions. So in total, with my guys, in respect to gaming, we are somewhere around like 50, 60 years accumulated. So that's a lot. And the fact that we can deliver that on the Zilliqa blockchain, covering games, covering a hub, tools, and of course the tip of the iceberg, the cherry on top, if you want to call it, the console, that's quite amazing for me. That's this whole ecosystem that we are building. It's the whole thing for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll go into kind of more detail on that as well as we kind of go through the session. But I think if you look at different industries like gaming, as we know, it's probably about a $206 billion industry. And a lot of the, I guess, concepts and structures that you can build from a blockchain perspective lend themselves really well to that environment. I guess our thesis has been over the piece at Zilliqa is how do you drive mainstream adoption and make that experience to get people to come on chain as easy as possible. And sometimes it might not align exactly to what the purists want, but the reality is for anybody in the blockchain space, if we don't drive mainstream adoption with valid use cases and use cases that actually drive a revenue stream, this industry isn't going to go anywhere. So I think very much so from a Zilliqa standpoint, rather than just gaming standpoint, we're very much focused on building or supporting applications that have a real world application that can drive the adoption. And then through that awareness of the projects that we kind of build in that manner, we hope to try and attract other projects to build on Zilliqa because they start to see a blockchain that's built around business use cases that drive a concrete outcome, which I think is really important for our space in terms of proving that this technology and this kind of this mindset around the creator economy and giving something back to everything is executed upon.
I just realized that we dove in, but what is Zilliqa? Is that some sort of meme coin?
I hope not. Well, there is a meme to it, and the meme is $1 ZIL. but obviously, that's not financial advice. Now, Zilliqa itself is a layer one blockchain. We've got a long pedigree. Some people say we're a little bit boring. We've been around, I think, for 5.5 years now, which in this industry, I think is massive and is a testament to the people that built the blockchain originally and have developed on it since that point. So we're very much about kind of delivering a blockchain that's obviously secure, it allows scalability, and it's got kind of a low transaction cost. I guess everything that Ethereum does, but we'd like to say that it's Ethereum on steroids in terms of that. So yeah, and ZIL token is the token that drives the infrastructure, so to speak, in terms of driving the applications and the smart contracts. And I think just a fact for your listeners, I think we were the first to market with Sharding. I know it's a little bit passe in terms of where the marketplace is now, but if you think about innovation and where Zilliqa stood back in the ICO days, we were very much one of the first to market in terms of what we've delivered. And if you look at the number of transactions we have had on chain, we're up to over 40 million transactions on chain. We've got a budding and growing ecosystem. And with the applications that you're starting to see, like Valentine's got a great case in point in terms of what he's building out, we are a blockchain that is a real blockchain. It's not a meme blockchain. And yeah, we're going to be here for a lot longer.
Can I a quick follow up on that? And maybe this is we'll call it sharding with Zilliqa. Can you tell us a little bit about so when you were talking about sharding? I think a lot of people in the space they understand tokens if they do, and they sort of understand scaling. Can we just do a touch there? Can you talk about sharding? What does that mean?
Ooh,
Why
so
do you do it? And then how is it different than, for example, Ethereum or the parachains of Polkadot? Because everyone's trying to scale their chains. But
yeah,
maybe do a quick look here, just
yeah,
to give the
it's a
audience.
it's a good question, and I'm not a technical person, so I'm not going to go down to the nitty gritty. But the way I look at it is, if I go to Starbucks and order a coffee, it's very much in line in terms of when you get served, when you get your cafe latte or your mocha, and it takes a long time to be served, which can be highly frustrating when you wake up with that massive headache. With sharding, essentially, it allows, I don't know, multiple, hundreds, thousands of people to come to the teller's desk and at the same time ask for whatever that is, mocha, latte, a little mochaccino, whatever that is, and all be served at the same time. So when you talk about blockchain and kind of driving throughput, sharding was really a mechanism to allow a lot more transactions on chain. Good question in terms of how does it differ from the other blockchains, and I guess I would challenge you back on that question. I think people are fixated on throughput and the number of transactions that can take place on the chain. We can obviously scale and kind of deliver against that, but the argument I'd always ask is, what is the business outcome that you're looking for? Does everything need to be on chain? Is there specific components of the application that you're building make a better experience in doing that off chain and only leveraging the blockchain aspect as and when you require it? Don't get me wrong, we do believe that at some stage, maybe by the time I've passed away, that everything will be done on chain. But if you're looking at gaming as a great case in point, I would suggest 99% of the interactions will happen off chain. A small component will happen on chain, and therefore that throughput and sharding question that you're asking me, I'm not saying it doesn't become relevant, but the requirement to kind of scale up to the 100,000 TPS or a million TPS per second that people kind of talk about from a technical perspective, I would argue from a kind of a business outcome perspective, is it actually needed at this point?
So let me ask you a different question, or maybe the same question said another way. Why would any dApp build on ZIL versus any of the other layer ones? There's a lot of layer ones in the market that, might claim to have, equal throughput or not. They might claim to be secure or more decentralized or, less decentralized. Why would I build on ZIL?
Great question, and another one that people ask. I think it comes down to a couple of points. When you're looking to build an application, and maybe Valentine can talk to this one as well, a lot of the time it's about the people, it's about what sits behind a business is a big driver to why institutions or businesses will build on a blockchain. So from my perspective, we speak to a lot of people and they quite like the fact that Zilliqa has got maybe a few older people within the business that have got families, that have got kind of roots laid down. And there's definitely a trust aspect around the people involved within the business. I think we've got an entity in Singapore, we've got an entity in the UK, we are a global business, but people take a lot of confidence in terms of the people that sit behind it. We've obviously got a lot of people that have worked or been to university, the likes of Cambridge. You've got Valentin, who's got a massive pedigree in terms of kind of his background in terms of in industry. So it comes back to, does the technology deliver an outcome for the application that's being built? I think you could probably go to Avalanche, Solana, Ethereum, and all of them say, yes, we can tick that box. But where are you going to get the support? Where are you going to get that interaction to help you deliver that business outcome, which a lot of the times it comes back to? So I think when you're kind of interacting with potentially a smaller blockchain or less well-known blockchain, you're probably in a better position to kind of work with those teams to support you in an outcome. So Valentin, good case in point, where we're looking at gaming and what opportunities sit there. There might be a requirement around an NFT standard that kind of supports the gaming players or the people that are building it. And if we can start to implement that into a standard that people and developers potentially look at and say, well, actually, that gives us a kind of a USP and an edge to others. That's a sort of capability from a Zilliqa standpoint we can start to kind of look to implement. And very much the way we work in Zilliqa, obviously, Valentin's kind of domain specific around building out a gaming business, which is where he's at the moment, building that out. But the blockchain aspect is where very much we work very closely together to build out that blockchain API microservices layer that he needs to drive a kind of his business. And I think from our perspective, as we kind of move forward over the next few years, when people say, why would you build on Zilliqa? We're very much about building use cases that will lend itself to working with Zilliqa very closely, but being very closely tied to the Web 2 world, but we can support them in kind of making sure they get the outcomes that they're looking for. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of the way we look at it.
I think it does answer my question, and I think it's really interesting that you talk about, trust, and you talk about, the pedigree of the people, and I empathize, and I totally that resonates with me. But the one thing that I do wonder is, what place is there for, non-anonymity or pedigree in crypto, right? The idea being, shouldn't it all be decentralized and shouldn't it all be trustworthy anyways?
Yeah, it's another great question and another one that we get asked internally. So as we know, crypto or blockchain is very polarized. On one hand, you've got people who want total anonymity. They want to be crypto degenerates. They're hunting yield, which I'll not admit it, but maybe sometimes that's an area that I'll go and have a look as well. On the other hand, it's about how do we get people not in the space, educate people and give them applications that they can use that basically mirror or mask the blockchain aspect. Because at the moment, it's very challenging. To be honest, if you've got a MetaMask setting that up, you've got in our ecosystem maybe ZIL Pay or other wallets. If that was somebody down the street, it's still very, very challenging to set that up. And the other day, my mobile phone got pickpocketed on the tube in London. Then it's the fear factor of coming home, checking your seed phrases, logging that. That is just still really painful. So we're a proponent of, we want people to come build applications on Zilliqa's blockchain as a layer 1 blockchain, have everything associated with decentralization, identity and everything else, protect that. But we've got a duty to kind of drive awareness to Zilliqa's blockchain, and a mechanism to do that is to build applications like what Valentin's building from gaming that will attract new users to Zilliqa. So from your audience listening, a lot of them might not have heard of Zilliqa and kind of what we're doing. But if they start to see kind of thing coming out from Zilliqa that we're building a first-person shooter like Web3 War and a couple of other titles coming down the line, and then they start to understand, oh, that's been built on Zilliqa and we've got another few things coming down the pipe, then that will help anyone who's building within our ecosystem. And I think strategically, we've made some hires recently. If you look at Adrian, who's come on board, his kind of, memorandum is to go to market, try and raise an ecosystem fund against Zilliqa, so we do have more capital to deploy. But we don't want to just have capital deploy indiscriminately. It's all about using that capital to build applications that are going to be sustainable, deliver an outcome. And again, from an awareness perspective, we think that will enable us to differentiate in a market like in the layer 1 space, or even the layer 2 space is very congested, as we all know. And from a technology perspective, sorry, I'm rambling on a little bit here, we are going to be moving to proof of stake, fully proof of stake. We're looking at doing shard of shards in terms of being able to spin up and down depending on the TPS required for your different application, and some other kind of cool stuff and creative stuff that the tech guys are coming up with. But it always comes back to what are the features that are needed from a blockchain to support businesses that, like what Valentin's building, to drive that adoption, usage, and I guess sustainability in terms of where we're at.
So maybe let me take a follow on here. Maybe this is a question for Valentin. You're looking to build gaming. Wait, well, let's go back to what we talked about before. There are multiple types of games. There's like Axie type games, and then the AAA games, the Unreal Engine 5 games, which take years to build. What type of games are you like? What do you see for the future of gaming in crypto, all up, like in the metaverse, and then in Zilliqa? And what kind of games are you guys building?
Okay, I'll take one at a time. It's interesting that you said that AAA games are unreal. I have to challenge you on that one, because I know few of the AAA level of games that are in Unity or are in other engines like Infinity Ward or even the Godot, which is a newcomer in the engines market, and they are performing very well. What I see as the future, I think, in respect to the development cycle, because nobody has, except maybe the AAA studios or a new company that is in the Web3 area, has enough engineers to develop and deliver in time something extremely good in respect to the quality, with considerable large of content that generates something like what, I don't know, I can give examples from the big franchises in the gaming world that have created a lot of players and appeal to the market for tens of years, right? If you look at the big boys, since the mid-90s, they keep doing the same games, new titles in the same franchise, and they still struck gold. But lately, they are failing. And they are failing because they are missing one big component. And I'm telling you now, not as a game creator, developer, producer, how you want to call me there, but also as a gamer. I want to play games, and if I earn some great skins, I want to turn those skins, which I earn like rewards, I want to turn them in real money. And this component is missing. Maybe it's not the biggest factor. Maybe it's the component that most of the AAA games lately, and now I'm going to talk about the guys, and I'll poach them a bit around the first-person shooters, because this is what I'm building now currently in a few other titles. They have failed to deliver fun. They have failed to deliver the good level of gameplay that, as a gamer, especially around the late 90s, around the whole 2000 and so on, I had before. Now I need to pay more in order for my character to run faster. I need to pay more in order to access new weapons and new content, which I don't agree with. And once again, if I'm playing well enough, I want to be rewarded based on my way I'm playing, which is not happening. And I give you an example for the Steam, one of the, let's say, the biggest library of game. I think I'm among the top 100 or 1,000 people that have a lot of skins that I cannot do anything. I have a nice number in as money, they say, inside that account, but actually those are not money. That's credit to buy other games from their market. I don't understand the business, but now from a personal perspective, let's say I want to pay the bills, I want to get my wife a nice gift, I cannot turn those skins or those currency I have there in real money. And this is, I think, the roaring 20s of the crypto age, where applications, including gaming, that have this component available, we're going to make easily to a business to skyrocket, even to hit the moon in respect to the appeal that can generate. But as I said, you still need to create good products, fun products, no matter if it's with Unity or Unreal, no matter what kind of genre, it needs to be fun to play. A gamer who's going to create, let's say, a degree, an evaluation of the game, and that builds basically the reputation of that specific gaming company or gaming studio. And once that is being built, is very hard to change. And looking in the regular normal 2.0 gaming space, all the games that had, or companies that had a bad reputation, they have struggled for years to change that. So what I'm trying to do is to build cool games, and this cool word, I'm really intentionally using it because I want people to say, hey, I'm playing this game now with my friends, it's fun, it's something casual, it takes me 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's online, it's free to play. Also, there is a component like a ranked version where I do need to pay very small fees from the money I get inside the game so I can get even better rewards. So in that respect, putting the fun in front of everything, in the way I'm building the games, putting the gameplay and the player basically at focus, it's an easy path to striking what the games, as I said before, in the mid-90s, 2000 they were doing. Get the game first, the player first, and then start thinking about the business itself. And yeah, we do think about the business and what we need to build. We started with a low poly styled game because I want that game to run on any computer, any PC, Mac, even Linux, because a lot of the developers are on Linux and maybe they want to play something without rebooting, switching to Windows. But also, and the reason I choose low poly is because I want the mobile market to go after that. And yeah, we do have a console in the works. It's still in a very early prototype. I can even show it to you. Here it is. This is an aftermarket product off the shelf. You can find it on many stores online. We don't care about the hardware itself. We only care about what's inside of it. A specific, very strong CPU, a specific NVIDIA, a specific graphical card from NVIDIA, because I can optimize then the way it reacts. So all the games that I'm building have to run on all this ecosystem, on the hardware ecosystem that I'm building. That's the case. Everybody to play everywhere, no matter if you are mobile, in the home, with your friends, or single, because all the games are free to play that I'm building. Free to play, focusing multiplayer, and with seasonal content that can cover years. Even this Web3 world that we are building now, we are already planned somewhere around 4 to 5 years of content, only for this game. Because we care about the players. No matter if I have 500, 1,000, 10,000, fingers crossed, 1 million players, I want them to enjoy for a long time this game. But then I'm building a survival game, which is more like other titles in the space, like a looter shooter. I have a racing car game in the works. I have mobile games. I have arena games. And also AAA games in respect to the graphics. I even have a game, and we can provide you that link, which we don't share it that easily.
Send it to us.
I will.
We'll link it down below.
Yeah, I will. I'll just need to flip flop the screens. I have a game that cannot run now. And trust me, I have a very expensive computer next to me that I'm using for work and for gaming that cannot run that game decently because the technology there is way somewhere around maybe 2024 or 25 because I'm using very large resolutions for the textures, some technology around the shaders that is not yet fully covered by the video card manufacturers. So I have that in development. I'm struggling to even play it to test it, but it's there. I'm waiting only for the technology to catch up, and then we have that. And again, I have to challenge you. You don't need Unreal to make nice looking games. Go ahead.
No, there was one thing you missed on that as well, just in terms of the console. When you think about automotive and everything else, you've obviously got, if you look at Steam and Tesla and that kind of link up in terms of driving an experience in car, there's a lot of other manufacturers struggling to kind of keep up with where the Teslas and what they're doing. Obviously, it's an aftermarket piece of hardware that could be embedded, skill to earn. They can start to offer differentiation with that embedded device. So again, from a differentiation perspective, a lot of people said, well, why are you bothering to do console? There's that obviously North Star around trying to change the world around kind of the approach to experiences. And people say, oh, who's your competition? Is it Solana? Is it Avalanche? Is it Wax? Whatever that is. Well, no, it's not actually. It's anyone that's kind of, I don't know, scrolling on the internet, their Instagram or their TikTok or whatever else. Let's steal those hyper casual kind of interactions and allow people to start to earn while they kind of scroll. So we'll see how it plays out. But with the stuff that Valentine's building, I probably wasn't that big a gamer. But now, based on the last 6-7 months of having to play a game every other day, I'm pretty bullish on what I'm seeing. So,
Wait, so are you guys coming up with a council? Is that some alpha leak over there? Or is this public? I didn't know this.
It is public. This detail is public, but again,
Amazing.
prototype level, meaning this hardware you can get it. Just Google it, go on Amazon, you're gonna find it. But
Sure.
now we are working on the software, which is very important. Again, I when I joined the company, I said in order for us to strike gold, we don't go with the games from day one. We go with the tools that any developers, including us, need to have in order to deliver that. Imagine here an engineer, that a mechanic that wants to fix a car. You first take the tools and then you go to the car to see what you need to change and fix and so on. It's the same stuff with us. We started by creating the tools we need in order to create the games. And then we did the tools. We started to work on the games. We said, okay, we can do that. Now, let's see where we can go with our games. And nobody said, yeah, guys, come to us. Steam, Epic, Windows Store. They all said, nah, we don't want crypto for whatever bad reputation is around that. I said, well, guys, we are a legitimate business. We are building something around that. We are among the first. Think again about, considering this, how the internet was being seen in the 90s. Oh, that place with all the hackers, it will never catch up. Remember the news that, well, big boys in the industry were saying, now, internet is just something that will flop very soon. It didn't. And I think this is the 20s that people are going to remind, oh, those guys were making games. In all that economical situation and global situation, those guys were making games. But actually not. We are building the tools. We are doing now the games. We have already a platform that doesn't revolve in any ways with Steam. It does mimic some features because, well, that's the normal way of doing it, like having a community there, having basically your friends to play with them, to have a marketplace for all the items inside the games, which in our case are NFTs, then to have like a store for all the games, but our games are all free to play, and then to open all this ecosystem to external studios or external indie developers to bring their games, of course, with some curation on top of that, to bring them in the ecosystem. And the cherry on top was building hardware. But myself, I'm coming with about in total 20 something years of software and hardware development. And what I learned is in order to properly create great hardware, you need extremely decently made software. So now I just took this off the market. I'm doing the software, which is already our hub, our platform. I just optimized that in the games. And one that is well done, I'm going after the hardware guys, say, this is what I need from you. And I challenge all the other Web3 companies. You guys do software, you guys do whatever. I also have a console, hardware, to keep your wallet there. And also, when you don't play, you know what this console does? Come on, Alex. Come on, Devika.
It stands there and it shows photos of your friends and family.
No, it mines ZIL tokens.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It mines ZIL
Actually,
tokens.
yeah, I'm monopolizing it because you got next. I just one last one, please.
Shoot.
So what you guys don't know is that David and I both come from Microsoft, and we both actually worked on some Xbox strategies, and a lot of let's just say all the major players in the space are hardware is a loss leader, right? It's all about the games and the tools, as you said. So I think that's right. Help me with this. By the way, I love that it mines ZIL tokens. That's genius. That's great.
Thank you.
Here's I can't even. I don't know what I can say about our Microsoft days. So David and I worked on our blockchain strategy. Let's say we had similar ideas about what we can do with access GPUs and ASICs back in the day with Bitcoin, and that may or may not have been adopted. But here's my question for you: why? So you touched upon it a little bit. You're like, look, you can exchange it for real money. Theoretically, you can build a game where you get in-game credits and you can cash out and you can send money back to the credit card, right? You could do that. You could have already on and off ramps to real money in the EA can do this, right?
Sure.
So why do we need crypto for gaming? And do you see this going cross-chain? Like how will you interact with Ethereum games or Stacks games or whatever games?
Great question.
It's easy. It's easy. I'm not so happy to punch in my credit card details on most of the platforms. I don't trust them. I use a lot of security for that reason. like special antivirus, a dedicated firewall, a specific browser that I only use for transaction. Because as a developer, I know how not easy. I do understand what means to wear a black hat and how to hack stuff up, and it's not easy to do it, to exploit some security holes. But what's the technology best now on the market to do this kind of stuff? Encryption, correct? Blockchain. So it's a no-brainer to go with a company that has a mature blockchain and develop that part there. I am only basically the gaming side. Let's say I'm outside Zilliqa now for 1 second. I'm only carrying the blockchain to an applicable part of the world, meaning the transaction part of the wallet items, including the skins, which in our case now are NFTs, the virtual currency, which is now basically the tokens there. So why not use it? I'll ask you back. I'll play the other side. Why not use the blockchain? Especially a mature one, uncluttered, with sharding and EVM support like Zilliqa. I get this question also a lot of time on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Why you choose Zilliqa? Because all of the above.
Yeah, and I think just to your point, Alex, I think from a cross-chain perspective, obviously that's a natural place to go. I think from our perspective at the moment, let's just create something that people want to play. Let's get a good result from there. And then 3-4 years down the line, I guess when there's a requirement to maybe go cross-chain with it, we do that. And I think that needs to be the way that the whole industry grows in terms of driving liquidity and TVL across chain. And kind of Valentin touched on it, Zilliqa has historically had a moat around what we've built in that we had our own smart contract language. We weren't EVM compatible. So if you're talking to the degenerates and wanting to be in the curve wars and have a stable coin yield play, Zilliqa's probably never really played in that space because we've not been part of the EVM ecosystem. That's already that's coming, that's in the pipe. So already the building blocks are going to be built out. So as we kind of get a bit more mature from a DeFi perspective and kind of some of the products that we're building, I suspect we'll start to see more people wanting to come into the Zilliqa ecosystem to target what we've got. And then obviously the converse from Valentin in terms of what he's building out, there might be opportunity to kind of move out. And you made a good point actually around the kind of the decentralized approach as well. While we're building a kind of a gaming company that kind of drives an outcome, which I think will be a good case study, not just for Zilliqa, but the industry in general, it's obviously important from a blockchain perspective to have SDKs that are forkable, that can be used by individuals to build that out. So very much in terms of what Valentin's built from a tooling perspective and infrastructure perspective, we had that kind of decentralized mindset in place. So there is an SDK that you, if you're a developer who don't want to be part of this hub, or maybe from reasons you don't get onto the hub, you've got the ability to build your own games with the Zilliqa SDK that's totally independent to everyone. And in those environments, you don't need to identify yourself and all the stuff that we kind of talk about, which is obviously a big part of where the movement is. So and this is kind of what I was trying to say, is when you've got the likes of Valentin, so Zilliqa's thesis is very much get people with domain expertise in a specific vertical like Valentin. He can come in with the vision, the direction, the strategy, kind of build out a kind of a minimal viable product that then kind of lends itself to kind of become something bigger. Do the same in maybe ESG, maybe do that in other environmental plays, or maybe e-commerce, or I don't know, remittance, or whatever that needs to look like, and start to show the market what good looks like, so that people looking to build on Zilliqa also get the awareness from what Zilliqa is trying to help with from a marketing perspective, and at the same time get capital in to allow us to then support those projects looking to build. So it's very much a kind of a two-way street. And a lot of people are giving a bit of pushback saying, oh, why is Zilliqa building a gaming company or building a gaming business? It's really twofold. It's around showing a case study to the world that blockchain can deliver sustainability and an EBITDA, while at the same time offering awareness to the Zilliqa blockchain, which I'm sure a lot of your customers listening in today may never have heard of us, but through the stuff that Valentin's doing and some other projects that we've got coming, hopefully that will drive that awareness.
That's good to hear, and I think it's so interesting the way that you guys are going about this. And Matt, I know we talked about this on Twitter a little bit, and talking about the sustainability of the gaming business model in blockchain. And I just want to dig into that a little bit more. So we've kind of touched upon how you guys are going about building, but how do you provide sustainable value for the gamers themselves? And what I mean is, like, how do you provide access to gamers without, like, the access price of an NFT of a game, for example, getting too expensive in the long run? Or how do you make sure that the assets that someone's buying on ZIL games over time actually sustain their value? So Valentin, you're talking about, like, actually being able to monetize your assets, but what is the value of that asset, and how do you make sure that that sustains itself?
Do you want to take that one, Valentin?
Yep. So one part of the sustainability comes from having the platform, the so-called gaming hub. We do build games. Anybody externally to the company can build games using our tools. As I said, I really love making tools. Each level of the products we are building comes with a tool, no matter if it's about gaming, it's about the hub, it's about the console. We're going to provide the software development kit for any developer to create stuff there. And we maintain that actively. That's one level. That's, let's say, the bottom line. Nobody cares. Maybe the developer do care about this side. Now, in respect to gaming quality and sustainability, we create a lot of content to sustain that platform. Basically, all these games that we build or our partners are going to build, and already we are in very strong signature mode, almost there, will become the content for the marketplace, for the hub where people go. Or let me ask you otherwise. Why do you think people go on Steam or on Epic Store or on the Battle.net? Because I'll answer. It's a rhetorical question. I'll answer. Because of the games being there and your friends being there as a gamer. So you go there and chase your fellows and the games that you love from the franchises you love. Most likely we're not going to be able to bring any big franchises to our platform yet. But if we build fun enough games and we curate the quality of the games we do there with the best quality of the tools we are also building and maintaining, people will jump in. And to brag about, once again, in the opening weekend for Web3 World, still beta, remember, still a beta version, we had 400 installations. That means 400 wallets have been created on our blockchain with 400 plus people willing to play the game, and they did. We had a lot of input from them. We enjoyed having them in the game and collecting the data. So again, the communication with the community is part of the sustainability and the strategy that we have in place.
Is it worth touching on as well the services aspect, Valentin, in terms of that kind of mindset?
That's the let's say the last level for the gaming hub, for the platform and the console itself. In the sense that why do you like your Xbox or your PlayStation? And we are not competing with them, just to make it extremely clear. From a hub perspective, from a platform perspective, we are more rivaling with Windows gaming, let's say, or with the Nintendo game store, but not with the hardware itself, because we cannot fight the big boys yet, at least. But in respect to the services we have there, you can integrate stuff there, like payment services, music streaming, and few other stuff, because the gaming hub itself is not only about the games, it's about the community, the players that I'm trying to gather there. And as a starting point, 400, and now it's beyond 500, way beyond 500, and I'm trying to reach by the end of the month 1,000. That's a lot, and I want to see any indie or startup company, even in the Web3 area, that is able to gather so many gamers, so many players to consume their products. Then, for each of all of the games that I'm building, again, free to play, all around multiplayer, because I care about playing with others, I'm coming with a lot of content in respect to seasonal content. Battle Pass wise, things that are a gamer would be more than used to have in respect to the gaming side. Always up to date with the technology, always looking what's happening and how to integrate external services in all the stuff that we are building. Matt, would you like to add anything?
I don't think there's much else to add. No, all I'm saying is, yeah, there's a lot going on in Zilliqa gaming at the moment. But I think, as I say, that is one component of where we're at. And again, for the listeners, just thinking about we've got a product that's been built. We've got other things where we've done, I don't know, tokenization of whiskey could be another good example of a use case, $1 million barrels of whiskey that have been tokenized that can be used. So Zilliqa is a public blockchain, and if you've got a use case that kind of makes sense, you can come and build in our chain. And I think the fact that we're building out DeFi products, whether that's lending and borrowing, we don't really have those apps within our ecosystem. We don't have native USDC stable coins that I'm sure at some stage we'll look to see. We don't have EVM, we don't have MetaMask integration. These are all things that are going to be ticked off in the next 6 to 9 months. So coming out with this bear market, as people are kind of searching out blockchains that have got potential, have got applications that are actually being used where you can kind of leverage your NFTs or maybe tokens, whatever else. I think that's the key to creating a sustainable model. And then looking into the future, as you've talked about cross-chain, how we're going to do bridges or cross-chain interaction, we're very much kind of proponents of that in terms of making sure we keep up to space with that. But from an aggressive perspective, we are trying to come to market, get on the front foot, show what's possible. And hopefully people will kind of sit up and take notice that Zilliqa isn't just a Southeast Asian blockchain. We're actually a blockchain for the world. So let's see what we can do.
So Matt, Valentine, I have a question kind of asking about the rest of the ecosystem beyond gaming. You know, you mentioned a few of the kind of ecosystem products and projects that are coming out. What are you most excited about?
There's quite a few there, a couple that I quite like. So XCAD Network are a big one. They've got all the big influencers in the world. So if you kind of go in, tune in, watch their content, as a consumer of that, you can be drip-fed tokens for watching. So I think, and I noticed they were in Cointelegraph at the weekend as kind of one of the golden lights in terms of the X to earn model. And I think what Ollie and his kind of team are building out there, that's one that I'm kind of really excited about. You've also got another great one is Luna Crush in terms of what they're doing in terms of the kind of the social analytics around what the networks are signaling in terms of what's going to be the next coin. That's another project that's kind of built on Zilliqa. And I think some of the data you sometimes see in Coinbase in terms of that signaling aspect. So that's two that I could kind of talk to. We've also got other ones that come out of our incubator program, like Search is another good one where they've got this risk transfer model whereby, I don't know, you've got a big tanker that's going down the Suez Canal and something happens and typically you need to go to your insurer to get sign off to make that payment. They've got an application that they're building that allows settlement the moment obviously that oracle's triggered to say this has happened. So I think we've got a wide use case of applications out there. And then if you think about what we're doing from a creator perspective and trying to drive or onboard users, we've got a partnership with Metapolis who offer a Metapolis or metaverse as a service. So Zilliqa is also, in terms of our kind of stable, we've got I think 3 esports teams that we partner with, Ninjas in Pajamas, Mad Lions and RRQ. And very much, again, it comes back to this business requirement. Esports teams really make a lot of their money from a sponsorship perspective. So they were trying to come up with new constructs to allow them to get closer to their fans, but at the same time open up new revenue models. So from our perspective, having a metaverse as a service that enables them to kind of capture their audience in that funnel in a kind of a Web3 virtual world, drive that into an NFT marketplace that they can kind of control, I guess offer merchandise purchases and physical to digital concepts within that. Zilliqa is very much playing in that space. And then if you're thinking about closing the wheels in terms of the games that Zilliqa is creating, because people often ask, what is your distribution to market in terms of the game? We've got some of the biggest esports players in the world prepared to showcase our games on that kind of forum. So again, we're very much about trying to close the wheel, come up with new innovative use cases. And I think what we're going to see from the esports teams, again, with a kind of a token, NFT, metaverse kind of play to drive their fan engagement layer, I'm quite excited to see kind of how that plays out in the next year or so as well. So they're probably a few of the big ones. Then obviously there's quite a lot of NFT marketplaces. And as I said, this lending and borrowing application we're going to see quite soon as well. It's just going to help us kind of fuel our growth. And then if you think about finally on that, the fact that it will be EVM compatible will obviously going to have a big hackathon to try and attract some projects from that side of the world to build on Zilliqa. And again, that's when we're going to start to see a lot more usage on our chain.
Let me ask one more, and then we're going to go into a hot seat edition of Okay, Not Okay. Basically, we ask you the various questions. Like, we'll give you an easy one: pineapples on pizza, and you say okay or not okay. It's coming. We're coming for you guys. But before we get there, just a little bit of a macro vision of the space all up. Obviously, we've had a very severe market downturn driven by macro, and it doesn't even matter what it's driven by. Are you guys seeing what's the energy like that you guys are seeing within Zilliqa or even in the macro landscape as well? Were you guys around in 2016, 2017? Were you guys
2017, I think we're the last probably of the ICOs to get through the last one. So yeah, we were there for the last one. I think obviously that was a tough bear market that we kind of came through, built through, and then developed on. I think if you're looking at where we are from a macro, yes, it's pretty flat. I was in New York the other week for the Masari event. It was pretty flat in my mind in terms of where we're at. That said, some of the guys were out at Token 24, I think it was, in Singapore the other week, and they said it was absolutely rampant, really bullish. I think maybe because it's the first event that they'd had in Asia, but they were talking all about GameFi. This is probably the thing to get the market going again. So again, from our perspective, pretty bullish in that space. But yes, in general, there's a lot of kind of like, it's quite flat. But that said, there's a lot of people and a lot of the kind of the real projects building. I know everyone kind of talks to that, but that is the case. And Zilliqa is very much in that space. Valentine's building something from gaming. But if I look at what's happening holistically across the business in terms of whether that's marketplaces, wallets, lending, borrowing, different types of staking, we're seeing a lot of work happening, and without a bull market, it actually makes things a bit easier to kind of focus in on that. So yeah, I think let's see how it plays out for the next year or so. But yeah, Zilliqa's kind of well funded. We're still hiring, we're still recruiting. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how things play out in the next year or so.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go into some okay, not okays. You guys ready?
I think so.
Yep.
Depends what you ask.
Bitcoin energy usage, okay or not okay?
I'm okay because of the environmental kind of movements. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
I'm okay. I have solar panels on the house, so I'm okay with that.
Love it.
Actually, apparently solar panels are less efficient than nuclear energy, so maybe something to think about.
What?
This is just an article I read recently. I'm not saying that it's true or accurate, but this is probably a clickbait title. But I saw it and I wanted to read it, so maybe we should read it.
David, you should share. I think it is true. I mean, nuclear on the margin, zero. I mean, it's zero emissions. Basically, what David is saying is, Valentin, get rid of your solar panels and install a nuclear
I will. I'll bring my dealer for some beryllium.
Don't tell Valentin, he'll be off building something in a minute, so let's not do that.
Yeah, you got this is what the hardware can do. You know, on the side, it can just like nuke. It's like a little mini nuke.
No.
Just mine Zilliqa and then like build nuclear energy. All right. Okay. Next one.
Directly from the.
Okay. So the next okay, not okay, I will say is more L1s.
Okay. I guess it comes down to there's a lot of L1s, a lot in the space. What is going to be their USP? How are they going to drive more people to come into the space? If they're going to get more people into the space, I'm all for it. If it's just there, I don't know, with no real value add, I'd say not okay.
Just in numbers, no. But in quality, I would say yes. If they do come with quality and applicable stuff on top of their L1s, let's do it. I'm gonna build a bridge for them to be able to run on my hub and console.
There we go. There we go. All right, I have a slightly different one. Tomato bisque soup. Okay or not okay?
Not okay for me.
No, me neither.
Yes. Okay.
Devika, is that okay for you?
I think so. I mean, I might be thinking of the wrong kind of tomato soup, but I think okay.
Oh, I'm all about it. Let me give you guys a hard one. Then Devika's gonna close it off with the hardest one, and we can talk about how to reach you guys and do all that. Ethereum switching to proof of stake. Okay or not okay?
I think is what was demanded, wasn't it, by the market from. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
I am okay because the miners are looking for something else to mine one. Like, so,
Oh, nice.
okay, I'll take that.
And then the last one, which is
All
the
right,
hardest one
Devika.
of all, is going to be pineapples on pizza. Okay, not okay.
Oh, of course it's okay. I love Hawaiian.
Me
No,
too.
I have to say no on that one. I'm more of a
Oh,
traditional fellow. No, I'm a steak guy with bourbon around. Not for me.
I'm uh,
well, don't
I'm about
worry.
to
Valentine
order. I'm
can't
about to
come to
order
that
some
night out when we
pizza.
all go out and have that pizza. You can go to the
Yeah, he can
steakhouse.
bring
So
his
when
own
if
pizza.
you come over to London or you come over to Europe, we'll take you out and have that pizza.
Amazing. Well, guys, look, thank you so much for joining. Can you tell us how does the audience reach out to you? How to follow you guys?
Probably the best one for me, pretty boring really, is on LinkedIn. Or if you do really want to try and find me on Twitter, Matt D. Dyer. Or I'm lurking in Discord nowadays as well in terms of our kind of gaming business. So yeah, Valentine.
Love it.
Twitter, I'm Valentin Cobela. Same on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube even. But if you just say Zilliqa Gaming, you can find out both of us very easily.
Amazing, amazing. David, any last words?
No, I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming and joining us and teaching us more about, the sustainability of future GameFi models. So I'm really excited to see, what gets built on SIL in the future.
Well, thanks very much for having us from a Zilliqa perspective. Davika, I loved that article you wrote on gaming. I did read it, shared it with
Oh,
Valentine.
thank
So
you.
yeah, keep up the good work. And yeah, hopefully your audience enjoyed hearing more about Zilliqa. And thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you
Big
both.
thank you.
Thank you guys.